You didn't film that, did you? So the deal with this thing is it's like making stone beer. You ever heard of this?
No.
Back in the day, before metal kettles were readily available, people used to heat up stones and drop them into wooden kettles to boil beer. And it gives a unique flavor because the stones will get up to, you know, thousands of degrees, and it'll caramelize the beer in a way you otherwise can't. So some guy thought to himself that he would make this device that you heat up in a fire and then dunk down in your beer and give it a stone brew flavor. So, alright, so this is it. Pretty simple concept. Into the fire it goes. And we get it as hot as we possibly can. In Germany, right now, because of the Reinheitsgebot, where you can't use anything but, you know, the 4 main ingredients, one of the ways they add extra flavor is to heat up these granite stones to about 3,000 degrees and drop them into the wort before the kettle starts boiling. And the wort caramelizes sugar on top of these big stones, and after that they take the stones and put them in the fermenter, and they make a subtle but unique flavor, and it still conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. So it's starting to turn brown on the handle. It might be time to use this thing. I'm gonna say this though, this was advertised as something to do camping, and it looks pretty gross. Ooh, it's whistling. Cheap beer. Your favorite. That was actually pretty cool, you know that? I didn't expect very much to happen. That was pretty cool. So I don't think we changed the color very much, but something happened. It still feels pretty cool. So let's pour out a control group and see how it's different. It's still like remarkably clear considering all the ash that I had to wipe off. This would actually be a really cool thing to do while you were camping. I did pick a particularly light colored beer so that if there is any difference, we'll see it. Let's see what we got here. At first glance, I think there's only just the most minute bit of difference in the color. I don't even know if I'm seeing it right or if I'm imagining it, but I think there's a tiniest bit of difference. This one definitely smells different. It could just be because of the different temperature, but it feels like it's actually lost some of its aroma, which it probably did get boiled out when we plunged the iron into it. It actually smells less hoppy than this one. I don't think that counts for much because the top of that is so warm and flat. I'm gonna have to go back to that one. I'll do the control first. That's cheap beer. I've had that plenty of times. There's very little difference. Other than the temperature, really not much has happened. I think I'm detecting less hop sharpness and more I don't know if caramel's the right word. I almost want to say like toffee flavor. But I could be imagining that. I think what we got to do is let the control warm up, and then we got to find a way to make that iron hotter and plunge it in and really get this thing going. And I think maybe before we plunge it, we put the beer in the freezer. So yeah, we got charcoal going instead of wood. You know, it's like seasoned wood puts off more heat. Charcoal puts off a lot more. There's no moisture in charcoal, so we don't have to boil off a lot of water to get things going. So this iron is going to be a lot hotter for this next one. And then I think we'll probably find a way to get it even hotter the next time. All right, I'm gonna wipe the ash off of this bad boy. And in we go. Ready? All right, so try number 2. We started with an initially colder beer in a larger mug, and then we heated up the iron more. So we got to hit it with a hotter iron, and we've also warmed up the control beer quite a bit. So I'm feeling them. They feel really just about the same. So I'm going to try them out, see what we got here. Control beer is cheap beer, a little warmer than before. There we go. Now, I gotta say, that's definitely got a smoke flavor to it. And I actually kind of like the smokiness of it. It definitely was kind of boring before, but with a smoky character, it's actually kind of nice. But I really don't think we've caramelized it at all. I don't know what to do, but I think probably we got to go beer with more sugar, or we got to go just much, much hotter. I hope my house doesn't burn down. All right, for this next one, we've got the beer actually kind of slushy. We had the glass and the beer in the freezer, and it barely even had a head on it when I poured it hard. And away we go. I can smell it. I can smell it caramelizing. Can you guys smell it?
Yeah, it smells like like marshmallows almost. Like that campfire marshmallow?
Yeah, it smells like a campfire marshmallow, yeah. Look at that. Even after we caramelized it, it still has a big iceberg, a giant beer sickle floating in there. I don't know if you can see it, but we actually burned a hole through the center of it. So this beer is still nice and cold, so let's see how it tastes. I still don't think I perceive any difference in color. I don't know if I detect that marshmallow smell that I smelled when I first jammed that thing in there. I gotta say too, besides just kind of a campfire taste, just the taste of smoke, I don't think it's imparted any other flavor. You know, I think the conclusion here is that we definitely need a sweeter beer, or this isn't going to work. Just dunking this thing into hillbilly beer, you know, it just makes it taste kind of hot doggy, you know. Not that I, don't like to have a nice tall cup of hot dog, but it's definitely not doing all it could, so let's hit my basement and see if we can find something else to use. What the hell is this? There's a bottle with the bottom cut off. More White Storm. Oh, this is a beer I drank years ago. Speaking of interesting beer in my basement, this was brewed for Chuck and Di's wedding back in 1981. I think I drank this in like 2010. It's a real thing. I didn't make this up. That's more mead. All right, I think we're gonna have to go to my fridge and see what we can find. I could drop my hydrometer in there. I don't know if I have one at home though. That actually smells pretty sweet. You know what? That's actually really sweet. I think that might be it. That should be plenty. 1,571 degrees, my ass. This thing's probably like 3,000. Oh, dude. It's all head. Look at that. We turned the whole thing into just we just boiled it. Wonder if we could put it back in the freezer, cool it back down a little bit or something. It does have a delicious smell to it. Let's see how this... Yeah, that's got a real sweet smell to it. You know, that's pretty good beer. I mean, that is really, that's good beer. I mean, same brewery that makes Edmund Fitzgerald, so you know that was going to be good. All the Great Lakes stuff is really good. And that is really sweet. That's got a lot of residual sugar to it, so if there's a beer that this is going to work for, this is going to be it, I think. Oh my gosh, it's hot. It's actually like warm at the top. That took out, well, you know what? That definitely did caramelize it. Because that changed the balance of that beer from hoppy to malty. Just like that. There's definitely a lot more malt flavor in that. And I don't think it's just the fact that it's a little warmer either. I think that really is just is noticeably different. It's sitting on the rim of the glass differently too. It's definitely lacing the glass differently. I mean, you can see the starter one there. It's got no lace at all. And this one, we cooked those proteins up good, and we left a nice bit of lace on there. Not so much rings of lace, but I guess from boiling as it was, that's what you get. That's all very interesting to think about. I feel like the beer's lost some of its clarity too. I think that maybe we've coagulated it and caused some kind of haze. Not that that's bothering me, but I think definitely we have some kind of haze in there. And you know what? I like it more. I like it more this way. So, your initial thought is I should do this with some cheap, hillbilly guzzling beer. But it won't work with that kind of beer. You really do have to get beer with a lot of residual sugar in it, or else you're not going to do anything. You're just going to, you know, add a little hot dog water flavor to it. So if you do it, I recommend getting a Scotch ale or something like that. You know, something that tastes good with kettle caramelization. You know, if that's even a real thing. People argue about that. But I liked it pretty much. I liked it a lot with that Elliott Ness Amber. It had a lot of residual sweetness. I think it added flavor. I think it changed the texture. I think it almost gave it a thicker mouthfeel. Probably something to do with that haze that formed. You know, either way, it was an exciting thing to do. It's not just the same old boring thing, and it's not just going to the store and buying somebody else's beer. It's you thinking about it and making your own discovery. So you can go talk to people. Even if you meet like a real brewer, you can go up to him and tell him what you did, and he'll be, you know, pretty interested to see how it turned out, I'm sure. So ends a great experiment. I mean, that was something. I think that product's pretty cool. I definitely had a lot of fun using it today. And, you know, like anything, people have to experiment and make new stuff. That's where new ideas come from. So I'm glad somebody made it. I think it's great. I don't think you could just throw it in your backpack and go camping and become a chef. But, you know, it's cool. So anyway, I'm glad you checked it out. And I'll see you again next time. Sláinte. Cool.